A shalom to the hopeful elect. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone who teach the truth and rule well. This is the brother Yatab Yawa'Allah coming back from the GMS SF Bay Area camp. And I got a quick lesson today. All right, Lord's will is edifying. But just going into the topic of, we all have our own race, all right? And we have to figure out, and what our lane is, and ultimately, the adjustments we have to make to stay in that race. All right, we can't rely on other men, to keep us going. Even though we do have the body, to help, when we're down, and or if we need help. Ultimately, all right, this is a fight, of ourselves. All right, if that makes sense. Okay, this is a relationship between you and the Lord, a personal relationship, and that battle. All right, when you're going through that fight of faith, all right, is your own. Okay, now again, we do have the body, we do have brethren, to help us, because a lot of bros, especially the older bros, have gone through certain battles that we've gone through, so they can give us pointers and tips and comforting words. All right, but in the end, it's that personal battle. Okay, but now let me start with this. Is Philippians chapter 2 verse 12 and it says, "Wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." All right, and this is something that you have to understand, is we're working out our own salvation. Again, you can't rely on another man to save you. You can't rely on, the works or the gifts of another man. You have to work out your own salvation. You have to work out your own relationship with Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, and you have to figure out and make the adjustments to get better, get you in that fight of faith, all right? Or to better help you in that fight of faith. You have to figure these things out. This is what we all have to figure out. Again, when you come into this truth, you have to learn how to make the adjustments. You have to learn what works for you, what doesn't, all right? You have to understand there's order, there's levels to this thing, all right? You're not going to be on the level as an apostle, a bishop, an elder, all right? Even the older bros, they all have a certain lane, if you will, that everybody's in, and you got to figure that out, and you got to run the best way you can in your lane. All right, it says, "Wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence." Yeah, we don't always have the elders around us, we don't always have bros around us, all right, but who's there always watching is Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, and you're there. All right, that's the most important. You're there. And Lord's will, we're of that number. We're becoming judges. All right, we hope to be of the, the order and government in the kingdom to come. Well, it starts with judging now, but who's the first one you judge is yourself. All right. So when brothers aren't around, when elders aren't around, what are you doing? Are you able to make the adjustments? Are you able to see, all right, what you're doing? If you're feeding too much in the flesh. Are you seeing, what you need to work on? Are you praying? Are you fasting? Are you growing? All right. Real quick, let me finish this off. It says, "But much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." And we have to work out our own salvation with fear and with trembling. All right. That personal relationship. I want to jump here. This is 2 Corinthians 13:5, and it says, "Examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith." All right. Again, being, of the hopeful elect. All right. Lord's will, that number to be of that government, that governing body in the kingdom to come. Well, we should be on a level to be able to judge. All right. And primarily judge ourselves. Okay, so it says, "Examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith." You shouldn't have to always rely on a brother to tell you something. You shouldn't have to always rely on a brother to rebuke you and counsel you, which, that comes, not, don't get me wrong, that's going to come. But, the longer you're in this thing, the more you should be able to see, okay, you know what, I gotta make this adjustment. All right, that's part of becoming a man. All right, that's part of, just taking responsibility and accountability. Okay, being disciplined. All right. It says, examine yourselves, 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. And this is what we got to do. We have to prove our own selves. All right. You believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? Well, prove it. Prove it to yourself. Hey, go, do that extra, waking up early, getting the reading down, making sure you hit your routine and reading. If you got to work out, eating healthier, getting healthier eating habits. All right. If you catch yourself, watching too much of one thing or doing too much of something, you drinking too much, or you're spending too much time with a woman, you got to be able to examine that and be able to judge that and cut it out. Make the adjustments. All right. It says, examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahweh Shai Hamashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. And what is a reprobate? Someone who's void of judgment. All right. And again, Lord's will, we're of that number to be of the governing body. All right. We're supposed to be judges. We're supposed to be able to know how to judge. All right. And yeah, we're learning, we're learning here. But again, as you progress and as you grow, you should be on a level to, first and foremost, primarily be able to judge yourself. All right. It says, know ye not your own selves. Yeah. And all right. You got to know. You have to come to that level. All right. To know yourself. All right. What you need to work on, what you need to do. Again, you shouldn't always have to rely on a brother to get on you. All right. Hey, I'm doing too much of this. Hey, let me make the adjustments. And it might not happen right away. All right. I was talking to a brother earlier, and he was giving some beautiful advice, which I've been thinking about lately, is just doing a little bit every day, working on what you got to work on, and taking the baby steps that you need to take, but doing it every day. All right. And if you miss a day, get back on it. Miss a couple days, get back on it. Start getting into these routines. Start being disciplined. Are we not disciples? All right. We're disciples of Yahweh Shai. And what? Yahweh Shai was on a mission, and he finished that mission. He was perfect. All right. What did he say? I'm about my Father's business. All right. Likewise, we got to be in that too. And if we have to make those adjustments, we have to make those sacrifices, then so be it. All right. That's what we're here to do. It says, Sirach 37:27. It says, my son, prove thy soul in thy life. Prove it. Okay? Prove it. And see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. And again, every man is not the same. All right? What one brother can do, what one elder can do, that might not be for you. All right? What one brother might be into, all right? He might be super into the herbs, which, you got to have, a certain, level of understanding the herbs. All right. That's part of being in the truth. But, to go deep in it, that might not be your lot. All right. But more so, this is what, going into, your eating habits. All right. Going into your day to day. Brothers might have certain eating habits. All right. That you can't do. Brothers might have drinking habits that you can't do. Brothers might have workout routines that you can't do. All right. Hey, brothers might be able to watch an anime show, but that might not be you. All right. You might have to limit it. You might have to limit that drink. You might have to limit that certain food. Okay. But that's what part of being that judge and part of being in that truth is understanding that. All right. Getting that understanding. Scripture say, without I get understanding. All right. How much more for ourselves? Get understanding of ourselves. All right. What do we got to cut out? And again, it's ultimately for the body. All right. Because you're making those sacrifices to be a better servant. Okay. I was watching the Dallas camp earlier. And the elder Yashwamba made a point. You get into these things. You work out, you get into the herbs, you eat better, because ultimately, what you want to be healthy for the body. When your body is healthier, you're able to think clearly. Your wits are about you. All right, you're able to be more edifying. All right, you're able to do more for the body. All right, and that's what it's about. Doing what you can for the body. All right. It says, my son, prove thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. For all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. All right. So all things are not profitable for all men. And see, again, that's the thing you got to learn being in this truth. All right. Going through your walk, working out your own salvation. You got to prove that. All right, you got to see it. That's the relationship between you and the Lord. All right. Brothers they have their own battles. They're proving themselves just like you. All right. Let me jump over here, because I had mentioned this. How some brothers, they go into the herbs. Well, part of understanding your race, your own race, all right, and making the adjustments and tapping in, all right, being able to run that marathon is understanding your gift, all right, and understanding that we don't have all the same gifts, like compared to the apostles or compared to elders. The apostles are on a high level. They're pushing out lessons daily, the history breakdowns, all right. Apostle Gabar going on the 8-mile walk, mile walks every day. All right. Some brothers can go, super into, the herbs. All right. Some brothers go into prophecy. Okay. But again, part of the walk and part of the race is understanding what gifts that the Lord has given you, and then maximizing them. All right. 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Let me start this one. Yep. 1 Corinthians 7 and 7, it says, for I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his proper gift of the Most High, one after this manner, and another after that. All right. And when you read up, ultimately this was talking about women. All right. And Paul, he didn't deal with women. But what does it say? It says, for I would that all men were even as myself. Okay, so again, we're not all like Paul. Okay, it says, but every man has his proper gift of the Most High, one after this manner and another after that. So we all have our gifts, and again, you have to, as you go along in this truth, you have to figure that out. All right, and here's some of the gifts. This is 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. It says, now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. You know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaking by the Spirit of the Most High calleth the Most speaking by the Spirit of the Most High calleth Yahushua accursed, and that no man can say that Yahushua is the Lord but by the Holy Spirit. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. And this is the point. This is a part of figuring out your own lane, is figuring out these gifts. All right. So not only are you being able to judge yourself and see what is good for it. All right, examine yourself, but also, tapping into what your lot is in this ministry. Okay? It says, now there are diversities of gift, but the same Spirit. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same power which worketh all in all. All right? But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit. So that, it's talking about the different gifts, all right, and how every man has their gifts. Some men have multiple gifts, all right, but the point is to figure out what your gifts are and to hone in on them. It says, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the self same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. All right. And ultimately, the Lord gives out these gifts as he wills. All right. But the point is, to tap in and understand these and hone in on them. Maximize that gift that's been given. It says, for as the body is one and hath many members, and all the members of that one body being many are one body, so also is Hamashiach. All right. It says, for by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. All right. And that's the point. Okay. Yeah. Every man has to work out his own salvation with fear and trembling. Okay. But that all as a whole, that we all make up one body. All right. But yeah, again, these are some of the gifts, the wisdom, prophecy, some brothers know how to talk in different tongues, which is different languages, giving gifts, you got the different administrations. Okay. Brothers, you got officers, you got, captains, you got elders. All right. You got treasurers. Okay. All these things work as in the body, but again, you have to tap in to see where you fit in. All right. And this is last scripture, and I'll end off on here. All right. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 7. And I'll start at verse 3. And it says, and I said, speak on, my power. Then said he unto me, the sea is set in a wide place, that it may be deep and great. But put the case the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? All right. And this is going into the straight gate. All right. Now, to enter into the kingdom, we must, what does it say? Through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom. All right. We're going through this furnace of adversity, this purification process to get to the kingdom. All right. But again, every man has his own purification process. It's not all going to be the same for every man. It says, there's also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of good things. The entrance thereof is narrow and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand and on the left a deep water, showing you how straight this gate is. All right. And one wrong turn, you giving into something, you're not making the proper adjustments, you're giving into what this world is offering, you can fall in. All right. That's why it's so important to tap in, to lock in. All right. And again, constantly to examine yourself. Verse 8, it says, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. And this is the point I wanted to get. All right. It says so small that there could be one man that go there at once. So again, every man has to have his own race. All right. His own walk. All right. You get your own, you get your own personalized, hell. All right. But also you get your gifts too. Okay. The Lord, as long as you're working, you're staying true, you're sincere, you're fighting. All right. The Lord gives you these gifts, and as long as you examine and you hone in on them, all right, you can magnify that gift. All right. It says so small that there could be one man that go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he shall never pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? All right. And again, this is going into the kingdom, and going through the chastisement, the hell, the baptism by fire to get there. These things must be. But again, that baptism, that hell, that fire is personalized for each man. All right. As a body, collectively, we're all going through it, but every man has that personal race, that personal walk. Okay. And again, we have to make the proper adjustments to stay in that race. All right. And we have to figure out that lane. Okay. And that's part of being in this truth. That's part of being a man, and we got to tap in. All right. Hey, just a quick lesson. Again, Lord's will, this is edifying. Once again, I want to give all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect and above above.